What kind of man can lose everything and somehow come back stronger every single time? A man who was mocked by billionaires, hated by politicians, attacked by the media, impeached twice, charged with 88 criminal counts, convicted of felonies, and still managed to return to the White House. To some people, Donald Trump is the ultimate American success story. To others, he is the most dangerous political figure in modern history. But regardless of what you believe about him, one thing is impossible to deny. Donald Trump changed America forever. This is not just the story of a president. This is the story of a boy raised in Queens by a ruthless real estate father who became a global celebrity, survived financial collapse, mastered the media, transformed politics into entertainment, survived assassination attempts, scandals, impeachments, and criminal convictions, and still convinced millions of people that he alone could save the country. So who is Donald Trump really? And how did a businessman turned reality TV star become one of the most powerful and polarizing figures in human history? To understand Donald Trump, you have to start long before the White House. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in Queens, New York. He was born into wealth, but not into Manhattan elite wealth. His father, Fred Trump, was a tough and disciplined real estate developer who built middle-class housing in Brooklyn and Queens. Fred was obsessed with winning, money, and power. He believed the world was divided into killers and losers. That mindset would shape Donald forever. Growing up, Donald was energetic, aggressive, and rebellious. By the age of 13, his parents decided he was becoming too difficult to control. So they sent him to the New York Military Academy. And this is where something important happened. The military school didn't break Donald Trump. It sharpened him. He learned discipline, he learned competition, and most importantly, he learned how to dominate attention. Even at a young age, Trump understood something most people never realize. Power doesn't only come from strength, it comes from presence. After military school, Trump attended Fordham University before transferring to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most respected business schools in America. In 1968, he graduated with a degree in economics, but Donald Trump never wanted to simply continue his father's business. He wanted something bigger. Fred Trump built apartments. Donald Trump wanted to build an empire. And not just an empire, a brand. In the 1970s, Donald Trump took control of the family business and renamed it the Trump Organization. This was the beginning of something that would become one of the most recognizable names on earth. Trump understood something most real estate developers didn't. Buildings alone don't create influence. Image does. So instead of quietly building apartments in Queens like his father, Trump targeted Manhattan. At the time, Manhattan was considered dangerous and financially unstable. But Trump saw opportunity where others saw risk. One of his first major projects was the transformation of the old Commodore Hotel into the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The project made him famous. But then came the building that truly changed everything, Trump Tower. When Trump Tower opened in 1983 on Fifth Avenue, it wasn't just a skyscraper. It was a statement. Gold finishes, marble interiors, luxury everywhere. Trump wasn't selling apartments. He was selling status. And soon, the Trump name expanded everywhere. Casinos, hotels, golf courses, private jets, television appearances, books, even steaks and bottled water. Donald Trump turned himself into a living brand. And by the 1980s, he had become the physical embodiment of wealth in America. But behind the glamour, things were starting to crack. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Trump began making enormous bets. Atlantic City casinos, massive loans, aggressive expansion. At one point, he was reportedly billions of dollars in debt. His casinos struggled, the economy weakened, and many experts believed Donald Trump was finished. Several Trump business entities filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Critics called him a fraud. Newspapers predicted the end of the Trump empire. But this is one of the most important things to understand about Donald Trump. He has an unusual relationship with failure. Most people are destroyed by public humiliation. Trump uses it as fuel. Instead of disappearing, he rebranded himself again, and this would become a pattern repeated throughout his life. Every time people believed Trump was politically dead, financially ruined, socially destroyed, he found a way to return. And then came the comeback nobody expected, reality television. In 2004, NBC launched a reality TV show called The Apprentice. The concept was simple. Contestants competed in business challenges while Donald Trump eliminated them one by one. "You're fired." That phrase became iconic. But The Apprentice did something much bigger than make Trump entertaining. It transformed him into a symbol. Millions of Americans didn't see Donald Trump as a businessman struggling with debt. They saw him as the ultimate winner, a billionaire boss, a fearless negotiator, a powerful decision-maker. The show rebuilt Trump's image completely, and unknowingly, it prepared him for politics. Because Trump learned how television works better than almost any politician in history. He learned that attention is power. Outrage creates ratings, conflict creates engagement, and people don't always remember facts. They remember emotion. This understanding would later help him dominate the political world. On June 16, 2015, Donald Trump walked down the golden escalator inside Trump Tower and announced he was running for President of the United States. Most people laughed. Political analysts dismissed him. Even members of his own party didn't believe he had a chance. He had no military experience, no political experience, no government experience. But Trump understood something traditional politicians didn't. Millions of Americans were angry. Angry about immigration, angry about lost jobs, angry about globalization, angry about elites. And Trump spoke directly to that anger. His message was brutally simple. America first. He attacked political correctness. He attacked the media. He attacked both political parties. Every controversy that should have destroyed his campaign somehow made him stronger. The media covered him nonstop. And while critics thought they were exposing him, they were actually giving him billions of dollars in free attention. Trump dominated the Republican primary. Then came the general election against Hillary Clinton. Almost every major poll predicted Trump would lose. But on November 8, 2016, Donald Trump shocked the world. He became the 45th President of the United States. And from that moment on, American politics would never look the same again. Trump entered the White House unlike any president before him. He governed like a man still fighting a campaign, aggressive, combative, unpredictable. Supporters loved him because they believed he was finally challenging a political system they no longer trusted. Critics believed he was destroying democratic norms. During his first term, Trump pushed massive tax cuts, renegotiated trade deals, imposed tariffs on China, reduced regulations, appointed conservative judges, and reshaped the Supreme Court. Under his administration, unemployment fell to historic lows before the COVID-19 pandemic. He also built much of his political identity around immigration and border security. But controversy followed him constantly. The media war became nonstop. Trump attacked journalists publicly. Journalists attacked Trump relentlessly. America became deeply divided. Then came impeachment, twice. The first impeachment centered around allegations that Trump pressured Ukraine to investigate political rival Joe Biden. The second impeachment came after one of the darkest days in modern American history, January 6, 2021. After losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden, Trump refused to accept defeat. He repeatedly claimed the election had been stolen. Courts rejected those claims. State officials rejected those claims. Even members of his own administration rejected those claims, but millions of supporters believed him. On January 6, 2021, thousands of Trump supporters gathered in Washington, D.C. Trump addressed the crowd and encouraged them to march to the Capitol. What happened next shocked the world. Supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol. The certification of the election was interrupted. Violence erupted. For many Americans, it was a breaking point. Trump was impeached for a second time, becoming the only president in American history to be impeached twice. Social media platforms banned him. Political commentators declared his career over. It looked like the end. But once again, Donald Trump refused to disappear. After leaving office, Trump faced something no former president had ever experienced. Criminal indictments, not one, 4 separate criminal cases, charges connected to classified documents, election interference, business records, and the January 6th investigation. In May 2024, Donald Trump became the first former U.S. president ever convicted of criminal charges, 34 felony counts. For many political figures, this would have ended everything. But something strange happened. His support didn't collapse. In some areas, it grew. Supporters saw him as a victim of political persecution. Critics saw him as proof that nobody is above the law. And once again, Trump used the conflict to energize his base. Then came another moment that changed the campaign forever. An assassination attempt. July 13, 2024, a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Gunshots suddenly rang out. Chaos exploded. A bullet struck Trump's ear. Secret Service agents rushed onto the stage. People screamed. One attendee was killed. For a brief moment, nobody knew if Trump was alive. Then something happened that instantly became one of the most powerful political images in modern history. Trump stood up, raised his fist, and shouted, "Fight, fight, fight!" Blood running down his face, American flags behind him. The image spread across the world within minutes. To supporters, he looked fearless. To critics, he became even more dangerous politically. But regardless of perspective, the moment transformed the election. And just months later, Donald Trump completed one of the greatest political comebacks in American history. He won the 2024 presidential election again. In January 2025, Donald Trump returned to the White House as the 47th President of the United States. Only one other president in American history had ever served non-consecutive terms. Grover Cleveland. Trump's second term began aggressively. Mass deportation policies, massive executive orders, trade tariffs, government restructuring. His administration moved quickly and aggressively, arguing that America needed radical change. At the same time, opposition against him intensified. Supporters viewed him as a fighter battling a corrupt system. Critics believed he was expanding executive power in dangerous ways. And this is the core of Donald Trump's entire story. He forces people to choose. Very few people feel neutral about him. To millions, Trump represents strength, patriotism, and resistance against political elites. To millions of others, he represents division, chaos, and the erosion of democratic norms. And maybe that's why he became so powerful. Because Donald Trump figured out something modern politics rewards. Attention is influence. And nobody in modern political history has controlled attention like Donald Trump. So after everything, who is Donald Trump really? Is he a genius businessman or a master marketer? Is he a political outsider who challenged a broken establishment or a populist who exploited anger and division? Is he a symbol of American strength or a warning about celebrity power in politics? The answer depends entirely on who you ask. But there are a few things that are undeniable. Donald Trump understands media better than almost any political figure in history. He understands branding, he understands conflict, and above all, he understands how to command attention. Even his enemies helped make him more powerful by keeping him constantly at the center of public conversation. Trump also revealed something deeper about modern society. Millions of people no longer trusted traditional institutions, government, media, political parties, experts. And Trump stepped into that distrust like gasoline meeting fire. He didn't create the anger, he weaponized it, and whether history ultimately remembers him as a hero, a villain, or something in between, his impact is already undeniable. Donald Trump didn't just change American politics, he changed political communication forever. Politics became entertainment, entertainment became politics, and the line between celebrity and leadership almost disappeared. Donald Trump's story is ultimately a story about power. The power of branding, the power of media, the power of controversy, the power of resilience. He survived bankruptcies, scandals, impeachments, criminal trials, election defeat, and even an assassination attempt. And somehow, every crisis only made him more central to the conversation. Few people in modern history have been loved and hated with such intensity at the same time. And maybe that's the real reason Donald Trump became impossible to ignore, because whether people supported him or opposed him, they could never stop watching. And in the modern world, attention is power. So the real question may not be, who is Donald Trump? The real question is, what does Donald Trump reveal about America itself? And that question may shape history for decades to come.